Hi, Doug.
Hey, I just wanted to, Urban talked about Taylor Decker kind of coming of age after the game. Just maybe what are your impressions of him? How's he come along this year as a starter?
Good. I mean, his progress has been what we hoped. Getting experience, continuing to play, being around other guys in the group that are very good players, learning how to practice, and he's becoming more consistent. He has great talent, and so he's a young kid. And I mean, he could easily be a redshirt freshman. We played him a few snaps last year, so I mean, he's a second-year guy. But his progress has been good. He's playing solid football for us and continues to get better with a big upside. But he's getting to where we need him for this Big Ten stretch.
The four seniors are obviously getting a lot of accolades. Is there a drop-off between those four guys and then to him, or is it a pretty good fivesome?
It's a very good fivesome.
Second row middle, Dave.
Dave Biddle, Bucknuts. Coach, is Chase Ferris back working with you guys on the offensive line?
He isn't yet. We're
Yet?
we'll see where that goes. I mean, with some of the injuries they've had over there, he's been on the defensive line, so we'll see where we go when everything's healthy over there.
And when Coach Meyer says how well the offensive line played, was this the best you guys have played up front all year? And
I would say yes, just because of the consistency throughout the game, very aggressive physical approach, and I mean, the grades are what they are. I mean, they graded out high, but that was because they were consistent throughout the game and executed well. So, yeah, I think collectively as a group of five guys put together, there wasn't two or three guys played really well and a couple guys played poorly or average. It was five guys played at a high level.
Front row, Tim.
Yeah, talk about when y'all run the video and you see Philly Brown making blocks like he does downfield, et cetera. What does that do for the team, and do you see a reaction, I guess, when...
Well, I think that's one of the reasons we continue to get better is the progress we're making across the board, and that the job description of a wide receiver at Ohio State is not to catch passes. It's to block first and then, catch passes second, and that's a good thing. I mean, and not in a negative way, but just that those guys block their butts off out there. I mean, Philly Brown's doing it. Evan Spencer's doing it. I mean, and we flex out our tight end. Obviously, he's blocking out there. Devin, Chris Fields. If you go in the game, the expectation is whatever we ask you to do, you'll do it well. And because we're becoming balanced in terms of inside run and outside run, that's making us more of a threat to people. And we've started to do a better job of that this season. Perimeter run, and you can only perimeter run if your wide receivers can execute out there, and they're doing a very good job of that. So that's helped our perimeter run tremendously.
Front row, right, Austin.
Hey, can you take us back to maybe right after the Buffalo game? You talked about Taylor, and he had a hard time with Mack in that opener, and that guy's a great player. But
Number 3 ranked linebacker in the country on all the scouting boards. So
did that help you? Did that help temper your grade for that game, or did you think, oh no, this is not going the way we thought just for one start?
No, I've done this a long time, so you have to believe in the decisions you made. You have to believe in the talent that you see, and you have to know that if you stay the course and you do things the right way, usually they work out pretty well for you. And I didn't have any doubt that at some point he would turn the corner, and he did the next game and played very solid in the second game of the season, and has continued to just get better and better. And a lot of that is just confidence. When you're an offensive lineman and we see a lot of looks and people throw a lot of things at us to try to get us, out of rhythm. And, now he's confident. He feels good about himself, and so do we. So things are good.
Did you worry about that confidence being shaken? He had such a tough matchup from the start. Or did you sense any disappointment?
Oh, you worry about everything when you coach a guy, but you're around him every day, and so it's the approach you use. And if the approach you use is that I don't have confidence in you, they don't have confidence in themselves. If the approach you use is the reason you're starting at Ohio State is because you're one of the best offensive linemen around and one of the best on our football team, and you continue to preach that to them, and then they got to go out and do it, obviously, but that was the approach we used with them, not, wow, you let us down, you disappointed us, we're not happy with you, what are you doing? It was different. And if you assess the game, it wasn't 20 bad plays in the game, it was 3, but 3 bad plays for a corner or 3 bad plays for a tackle, everybody knows about it. They don't know about the other 65 that were pretty decent, so,
Front row, Bill.
So how would you describe Marcus Hall's play this year and his development over the 2 years you've had him?
The most improved guy we have right now on the offensive line in terms of this season. I mean, as a matter of fact, we're watching Penn State, and you watch him play Penn State last year, and you're like, ooh, wow. And was just very average, and then you watch him play this past week, and it's a whole different guy. And it's just, again, his confidence, his physical development, his understanding of the system and what we're doing, and just he's in a good place right now physically and mentally. And when people are in a good place physically and mentally, as we all know, life's good, and he's playing well, playing really hard too, really physical. And
Personality that keeps things loose, is that a fair assessment?
yeah, he's real quiet around me, but I think, around the team and the guys in the unit, I mean, he's good. I mean, I think he's a pleasant change of pace for us, yeah. But we have that whole group is a bunch of characters. I mean, there are 5 guys that are all like this, but they're all very different, very different.
Front row, middle, Todd.
Offensive line can be one of those positions where it's almost like, seems that every year it's either feast or famine the coach. Just, is this an enjoyable season to be a line coach here because of how well you guys are playing? Does it feel?
So far, it's enjoyable. Yeah, it's very enjoyable. Well, it's enjoyable because it takes a lot of work and a lot of cohesion, and it's a slow process bringing offensive linemen along, and it's step by step. And when they're in rhythm and they're all in sync and they're all coordinated, then when you get that, really good things can happen for you, and that takes a while. But I thought we got into that rhythm last year about the time we played Michigan State, and I think we're starting to get into that rhythm now with that group as well. And that's part of it too, is it doesn't happen as quickly as maybe some other things, but yeah, it's enjoyable, first of all, to go in there with the attitude they have and to be around them and to watch them work. And they don't go out to practice. Like yesterday, they didn't go out to practice and pat themselves on the back. They worked, and it was good. And so when you're around guys that are willing to work hard, take coaching, and have talent, and they enjoy what they do, and it's funny too, because they all want to get better still. There's nobody, I mean, every one of them is talking about, what do I got to do to get better? These are things, and got to keep motivated, so we keep them on edge a little bit.
Back row, Ari.
Coach, Bill O'Brien came into Penn State with some tough situations with NCAA sanctions and still did pretty well on the recruiting trail. What have you seen, you've recruited this area for a long time, from just the way Penn State has been able to carry themselves, and how do you kind of think that they'll continue to be a player in the game recruiting now that some of those NCAA sanctions have been lessened in recent weeks?
Well, I just think that he's doing a good job overall, considering all the circumstances that have been presented to him. He's done a good job of preparing his team. He's been doing a good job of recruiting and selling his vision for his program. And when you do those things and you're a good person, and obviously he wouldn't have gotten that job if he wasn't a good person and a good football mind. And so people can relate to him, I'm sure, and people probably like him. And then, they have a football tradition there too. So, all things put together, I mean, I think he's focusing on what positives he can sell and what they're doing well and what their future is, and not focusing on the things he can't control that came before he got there. So, I mean, that combination, I think, and then their proximity to a lot of players on the East Coast helps them as well. And they recruit hard. I mean, they don't just hope you come. I mean, they recruit guys. So they go after them and recruit them hard. And, people want to be loved and liked and recruited. And so they're doing that too.
Front row left, Doug.
And we all know that this offensive line is playing well, but could you give some context of, in your career dealing with offensive lines, how often you have a group with this experience, or how often you have a group with this kind of cohesion? Has it happened a lot to you, or is this kind of rare?
It happens some, I don't know that it's rare. I mean, I hope in my case to say it would be rare would, I think it's happened. The last stop I was at, I know it happened. I know it happened at the stop before that. So, I mean, every place I've been at some point, we've had good offensive lines, and I think, that's what we strive to do. I mean, I understand the importance of that. If our offensive line plays well, we have a really good chance to win a game. If they don't play well, there's a very slight chance that we can win a game. So it's my obligation to get an offensive line ready to play at a high level so we have a chance to win every game. And I take great pride in doing that. And if you have talent and you have players that will work hard and you have players that are coachable, then you can put together a good offensive line as long as it's based on fundamentals and effort. So, I mean, we talk about, technique and toughness for our offensive line. Those are the two trademarks of what we want to be, real good fundamentals and a very tough outfit. And we practice that way. And because we practice that way every day, then things happen in the game. We're prepared to be in those kind of battles and play that way. It's fun when it does. But I mean, I've been around it enough because I've been doing this a long time, I guess, that, I've been exposed to good O-line play. And, so that's my expectation, that when my group jogs out there on the field, they're going to play good and they're going to be well coached and they're going to be ready to go and they're going to help us win games. So anything less than that, then I'm not doing my job. So.
Are they competitive with each other in terms of like who grades out as a champion or who gets offensive player of the week or?
They're competitive, but they are not competitive in that, why did he grade higher than me? Why was he this or why was he that? They're not that. That's slightly selfish. They aren't that at all. They couldn't be happier for Andrew Norwell being co-champion or Jack co-champion or this guy's first team all-conference last year, or this guy's second team. And when, we talked about Marcus having maybe his best game of the season, probably was for sure. I mean, the first thing we did when we walked into the meeting room and I summarized the game before we watched the film, and we're talking about the grades and we're talking about some corrections, and somebody says, I think we should have 3 claps for Marcus. And in our room, when you get 3 claps, that's a big deal. So if somebody comes in, Coach Bruce comes in to visit, it's 3 claps for Coach Bruce. Ready, set, go. We give him 3 claps, and it's all in unison, and the whole team wanted to give Marcus 3 claps. So when you do something really good, that's how they acknowledge it. So it's really a pretty good thing, and they're proud of Taylor too. And so but it's a group that wants everybody to do well and doesn't care who gets the credit. And that's the beautiful thing about offensive lines. When you can get that, that's when it's fun to coach them, is when they don't care who gets the credit.
Last 2 questions. Rusty?
Penn State's pretty good against the run. We say this every week, but every opponent is like.
Yes, they are. They're very good.
They only give up 118 yards. Could you talk a little bit about what they try to do to stop the run and what you might have to do against them?
Yeah, I think they're 17th in the country in rush defense, and I think it's a trademark of their tradition there. I mean, they've always tried to be a good run defense. They've always had good line play and good linebacker play, and that combination with a physical approach. I mean, I think that their offense tries to run the ball too, and so they practice against that. But I think it's just a nature of the way they're coached, and their defensive schemes are sound. So it's hard to try to figure out schemes where you can outnumber them or take advantage of them. You got to out-execute them, and you got to out-block them and be more physical, and that's your challenge. So good fundamentals, very physical, well coached, good schemes, and a lot of pride. And you put that combination together, you're going to have a 17 yards a game rush defense. And what are they overall? Something like, 14th or something in the country overall defense. So they're a good defensive team that has had an extra week to get ready for us. So another team has had 2 weeks. Iowa had 2 weeks. Northwestern had 2 weeks. So, here we go again. We got to get ready.
Coach, thank you very much. We were
Okay.
down to 1 and done. My bad.
All right, good. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.